In the early spring of 2026, we did a Viking British Isles Explorer cruise. We hit ports in London, Dover, Liverpool, Dublin and Belfast, Holyhead, Ullapool, Orkney Islands, Edinburgh, Aberdeen, the Shetland Islands, ending in Bergen, Norway. Liverpool. Now, I am not saying there is nothing to see in Liverpool. The Three Graces behind the statue of King Edward VI. On Liverpool Pier ahead are three magnificent historic buildings: the Royal Liver Building, Cunard Building, the Port of Liverpool Building, the Queen Victoria Monument, the memorial to 32 heroes of the Titanic engine room, engineers who stoked and stayed at their posts even while the ship was sinking, the Runner Building as you walk into the shopping area, the Upside Down House as an interactive photo attraction. But let's face it, most Americans, especially us boomers, and especially those who played in bands after the British invasion, come here as an almost pilgrimage to the Beatles. To my generation, like other centers of music in different centuries, Liverpool is the center of the popular music and birthplace of the British invasion. So for me, this entire trip around the British Isles was centered around this trip to Liverpool and the Mersey River and the birthplace of the Beatles. However, as I tooled around in the bus to the places I thought I would be excited to see, it didn't quite work out the way for me that I was expecting. Now, I realize this is only my personal opinion toward this journey, and others will have a totally different results and feeling to their visit. We drove past the home of Ringo and his neighborhood, couldn't get out because the streets were too narrow. We drove past the street that George Harrison was born in, again because the streets were too narrow. We drove slowly past the house of John Lennon's aunt and uncle's home and his mother's street. No place to park the bus. Now, there are private tours that people can hire to go, and they go in automobiles so that they can actually get down some of these streets. So at first, I was a bit disappointed as we were just driving by them. But then we got to stop and walk down the street of the home of Paul McCartney. But it was here that I began to realize something. I live in Boston, very historic, and I live in possibly the most historical section. I see the Old North Church, Bunker Hill, the Constitution, the Paul Revere House every day. And I experience the people who are just like me here, tourists, thousands of them on the sidewalks and the streets. And all of a sudden, I didn't feel like a tourist. I felt like an invader. Yes, they bring lots of money into the city that I live in, just like we Americans bring a lot of money into Liverpool. But I began to feel like I was intruding on the space of the people who lived here. These are not historical monuments. They are people's homes who at one time had a bunch of young musicians living there. We're standing in front of these homes staring at them. We got to see the lyrics to the tune on the building driving down Penny Lane, the roundabout building in the center, and the bank and the barber shop. But now I was satisfied with the drive-by and the fact I didn't feel like an intruder when I was on the bus. Again, this is just me. However, the last place we went to, the Beatles Story Museum, was the best place on the visit for me, because it wasn't put together by Liverpool associations for tourism or the people of Apple for promotion. It was put together after years of convincing and work in the brick and mortar and memories of two people who were actually there at the beginning, Mike and Bernadette Byrne. They were there in the front rows of the real cavern, not the reproduction. on the same stage in skiffle and Mersey rock bands on Matthew Street, bands that I had seen in documentaries. I actually got to meet and talk to them at the end of the tour. Bernadette had dated George just as the Beatles were breaking, and Mike had even played piano with them on stage. They knew all of them. My talking about the time and music with them meant more to me than those quick drive-bys or the visits to reproduced tourism sites. For me, this was the most emotional part of the trip. The displays are set up as if it was a representation of my own youth, and it hit. If anyone goes to Liverpool for a Beatle experience or plans to go, I suggest buying this book and reading it before you go. Your appreciation for this tour will be even greater. And if you do go there and this book is available, it will be a piece of Beatle history you won't get anywhere else because this is first-hand experience.
It's about time when half your dreams have slipped away. It's about faith when you know what you can't see. It's about all the things that build to shape your life. It's about all the things you say. It's about your shadow light that is never quite behind. It's about what you left that day. It's about time when dreams replace way too much of your life. It's about faith in those who fill your day. It's about keeping time for those who mark your way. It's about what you leave that day. It's about what you feel but can't touch along the way. It's about who you'll leave that day. Is a gift that gets taken away from you. Time is a measure set up to outpace you. Time is the tool that they'll use to outdate you. It's about strength and someone gently sleeping. It's about spirits weeping in the air. It's about searching for what you think you're looking for. It's about finding it one day. It's about time that's always one step ahead of you. It's about facing the storm that day. It's about time. It's about time.
Anyway, on to Beaumaris, Wales.